All right, so you ready to jump into this village versus city thing?
Let's do it.
I'm super curious what you'll think of this source material.
Well, from what I've seen so far, it looks pretty fascinating. Like, really gets into the nitty-gritty.
I know, right? It's not just like city good, village bad, or whatever.
Yeah, way more nuanced than that. And we'll sprinkle in a little bit about pets, too, since that came up in your sources.
Ooh, yeah. I'm always down to talk about pets.
Mm.
But first, let's paint that picture of village life. Like, what
Yeah.
does the source actually say?
Well, it starts off, kind of classic, right? Peace and quiet, nature all around, strong community bonds.
Total, like, escape the city vibe.
Exactly. And honestly, it makes sense, right? Like, everyone's so stressed out these days, looking
Yeah.
for a slower pace.
Makes total sense.
Uh-huh.
But then the source also mentions, like, supportive neighbors always being there for you.
Right, that whole tight-knit community thing.
But is that, like, a real thing? Or just, wishful thinking?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure it exists in some places, but your source does point out that there's a trade-off, limited access to things.
Oh, right. Like if you need specific health care
Or even just like a good bookstore. Sometimes that stuff is miles away.
Yeah, that makes sense. So maybe village life isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Could be.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe cities aren't either, right?
True. So what does the source say about city life?
Oh, it's all about opportunity, tons of jobs, education options, and all that culture. And that makes cities super dynamic.
Yeah, that constant buzz, right?
Exactly. I mean, think about it. When entire industries cluster in cities like tech or finance, it creates this energy. Innovation thrives in cities.
I can definitely see that. But on the flip side, the source talks about crowds, pollution, all the downsides. Is there a way to avoid that stuff if you live in a city, or is it just like part of the deal?
It's a good question. It probably depends on the specific city and, honestly, your personality, right? Some people love that energy while others, well,
Yeah, totally. And this is random, but the source goes from talking about cities to pets. It's so interesting.
they are connected in a way, right? Because your lifestyle might influence whether you can even have a pet.
Oh, for sure. But first, is it true that pets are always a good thing? The source makes it sound so positive. Companionship, reduce stress.
Well, overall, yeah, there are tons of studies showing the benefits, but we can't forget, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, they need us as much as we need them, right?
Totally. The source even calls out training, vet visits, the whole 9 yards.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. Especially if you have a super energetic dog.
Right. Imagine trying to keep up with a dog in a tiny apartment.
Exactly. So maybe village life is better for some pets.
Or maybe certain types of people are just better suited for pet ownership no matter where they live.
Yeah, I guess it all comes back to knowing yourself and what you can handle, right?
100%. And speaking of things we all have to handle, the source goes into breakups, which, not exactly fun.
I know, right? But the advice it gives seems pretty solid, focusing on your hobbies, spending time with people you love.
Yeah, those are classic coping mechanisms for a reason.
Makes sense. And, the source even says, time heals all wounds.
Which is cheesy, but also kind of true.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I guess what we've learned here is whether you're into the quiet life or the city buzz, or even going through something tough.
There's no one right way to do things.
Exactly. As long as you're making choices that are good for you, that's what matters.
Well said. And hey, as you keep thinking about village versus city life, think about what really speaks to you, what values matter most. It's less about finding the right answer and more about understanding yourself better.
That's some good advice right there. We'll have to leave it at that, but hopefully this deep dive gave you lots to think about. Until next time.
See you then.